Okay, get ready. You may call Zach now. 609-919-9200. The Zach Gelb Show. Only on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
Welcome back in, Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. Time and the Princeton Orthopedic Associates Studios is 5:16. If you were to tell me that there would be a report out there that the Sixers tried like hell to trade Jahlil Okafor, I would believe it, because look at all the rumors that happened leading up to the draft, where you heard that the Sixers were going after Chris Dunn. And then if you were to tell me that a young guy like Jahlil Okafor would be possibly upset that the Sixers were trying to trade him, I would believe that too, just as a human being. Well, Jahlil Okafor did not like the article and the sources from one Tom Moore of the Bucks County Courier-Times, and in his tweets, Jahlil said, "One second I'm reportedly upset to be in Philadelphia, then the next I'm upset about the trade rumors and having to leave Philly. Which one is it? Source, please confirm. Seems like writers are getting lazy, dropping a fraudulent story and trying to make it credible by using the magic word sources. LOL, stop it." Jahlil went on to say, "With all that being said, I love where I am, and I'm excited about this upcoming season. Big season for us. Hashtag Philly." And now joining us on the Zach Gelb Show on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey is Tom Moore, who does a tremendous job covering the Sixers for the Bucks County Courier-Times. Tom, thanks for a few minutes, and how are you?
Oh, fine. How are you, Zach?
Well, I'm doing great, and we appreciate you coming on. So your reaction to the Jahlil Okafor tweets, and I could just say maybe Jahlil doesn't like you too much anymore.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a stretch when the president of basketball operations, Brian Colangelo, comes out and says we need roster balance, and you see they have 3 centers and at least 2 power forwards, and before signing 3 guys in free agency, you really didn't have NBA caliber starting guards or a small forward. So it wouldn't be a surprise that, and you probably can't trade Joel Embiid because he hasn't played yet. Nobody knows what's going to happen, so it's going to have to be either Noel or Okafor. And it was widely reported that the Sixers talked to a lot of people and just couldn't get it worked out, that whether the overvaluing or the rest of the league was undervaluing, Noel and Okafor, I don't know. But, it's not surprising that someone would defend, themselves and wanting to be there, whether it was maybe the initial reaction was that of being upset, and now they're dealing with it, realizing that, hey, that this isn't, there's a lot better chance now, almost 3 weeks after the draft, that Okafor and Noel are going to be here versus beforehand. So, it's understandable, and I wish you didn't have to. I mean, I don't like using sources, but in this day and age, the only way to get people to talk either inside the organization or outside the organization in some cases is this way. So this is what you have to do. You either don't write the story or you write it this way.
And I understand it because I'm a media guy and you never reveal your sources, but I'll just say this. I read you every day. I don't think you're getting lazy, and I don't think your stories are fraudulent. You've been doing this for a long time. So I thought Jahlil was out of line, though, with the way that he was tweeting and everything the other night.
Well, he's going to defend himself, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him for doing that. And as I said, there's a much better. I thought there was at least a 60% chance they'd make a move at the draft. When they didn't, now you don't have draft picks involved, so you're trading the Celtics' 3rd pick, and it sounds like Boston and Philly haven't totally given up on things. That you keep hearing rumblings occasionally every few days that there might be a possibility of doing something. I don't know what. I mean, the Celtics want a big guy, but I don't know what the Sixers are necessarily looking for from that roster. I'm pretty sure the Celtics wouldn't trade their pick from the Nets next year, which is probably going to be very high. So I shouldn't say I'm sure, but I would doubt whether they would. So I don't know if there are discussions, the Celtics maybe have to be a little more realistic, and so do the Sixers if they're going to work something out. But I think it'll be tough. If Joel Embiid's healthy, and you're Brett Brown, how in the world do you split 48 minutes at center between Okafor, Noel, and Embiid? That's very difficult. Somebody's not going to be happy. It would just be easier if you have two. And plus, the free agents they sign as the guards are all short-term guys, 1, 2, or 3 years, that don't necessarily fit long-term. They may be able to get a point guard in the draft next year. They should have 2 top 10 picks with the better of their own and the Kings, and then also the Lakers' top 3 protected picks. So I think the point guard position may be kind of cobbled together a little bit this year, but they're projected to be 5 or 6 point guards in the top 14 next year, so they can address it there. But in terms of 2s and 3s and guys that can shoot and guys they like long-term, that's why they didn't throw a lot of money at people, because I think, giving $70 million to Alan Crabb for 4 years, a guy who's played 1 year in the rotation in the NBA, is a leap of faith. And if you want to commit that money, you want to be pretty sure that this guy is going to be a star, or at least a guy who's going to be an above-average player.
And I was in the camp before the draft of you make a trade on draft night, try to get that point guard of the future. And I really did believe that, just from everything that I read, that a trade was going to happen with the Celtics, and it didn't. But now I guess you really have no choice really to just be patient, wait this thing out one more season, and then you'll know what Embiid could do, and then you make a decision on who to keep between Jahlil Okafor and Nerlens Noel, Tom.
Possibly. I mean, all it takes is one team, being either meeting your price, or, as I said, the Sixers maybe asking for a little less or not overvaluing their guys as much. Could be a team could have an injury. Something could happen. The trade deadline is around February 20th. There's usually a lot of activity then. Something could happen. By then you could kind of let it shake out between now and then, see how things go. I mean, if the Sixers are fortunate that Embiid plays, from the sounds of it, he's going to be on minutes restriction, and he's not going to play when they have games on back-to-back nights. He's going to take one of them off, so as not to kind of overwhelm that right foot that's had the 2 surgeries, including a bone graft 11 months ago, on his right foot. So, there's some wiggle room there, but, to me, if you're convinced, and based on what you saw last year, it doesn't seem like it works real well with Noel and Okafor, and if you're convinced it doesn't work, and now Simmons is probably going to be your starting 4. One of them's going to have to be a backup center, and I don't know that that's how they consider themselves. They're both top 6 picks, and had been projected to go even higher. Noel could have been the number 1 pick if he didn't tear his ACL. And Okafor, most people thought was going to go number 2 last year to the Lakers. So these guys were projected to go very, very high. I don't think they see themselves as backups. So again, it's going to be, put a lot of pressure on Brett Brown to figure it out and try to keep everybody happy.
Now, going back to draft night, there was so much lead up to the draft, and everyone thought that there was going to be a trade that was going to happen. And if you're a Sixers fan, you obviously take the results still of draft nights, because you probably get that next transcendent star in a player like Ben Simmons. But a deal did not get done, and the Sixers weren't able to move back up after taking Simmons at number 1. Why didn't a deal get done on draft night, looking back at it?
Well, Brian Colangelo kind of raised expectations. I actually asked him the question, I think the Monday before the draft, are you looking to get another top 10 pick? And he said specifically top 8 pick, and he said there were 6 or 7 guys he was targeting. And I think that helped to increase the fans' expectation that, wow, they have a number of guys in mind, a specific number and specific, pick that from there and above that they would like to get. But I think, as I said, I think the rest of the league maybe doesn't think this. I mean, I thought it was interesting that the Raptors supposedly were interested in Noel after Biyombo left as a free agent, but the reports were that Toronto saw Noel as a backup center, and I think that could be part of the problem. Is that some, if not a lot, of the NBA teams maybe see Noel as a first big guy off the bench, and the Sixers think he's more than that and want more in return. Okafor, they see a guy, averaged 17.5 points last year. He was a very good offensive player, low post player. But part of the problem is, with the way Golden State plays, everybody wants to spread the floor and go small, and, kind of a hot trend now. And the Sixers have a glut of big men. And, Okafor is a traditional back-to-the-basket center that 15, 20 years ago teams would have been clamoring for. But right now the market for guys like that isn't what it used to be because of the way the game has, evolved, for lack of a better term. So I think it was a combination of things. Nobody was willing to meet Colangelo's price, and Colangelo wasn't willing to give in to the point where he could make a deal. So that's why nothing happened.
We're talking to Tom Moore, who covers the Sixers for the Bucks County Courier-Times, and if they want to increase the trade value of one Jahlil Okafor, they're going to have to get him to start playing some defense, and that's on the coach of Brett Brown. How does Brett Brown get one Jahlil Okafor to start playing some defense?
Well, part of the problem, Zach, last year was, they tried, at least the second half, they tried playing him at the 4 because they really, at least defensively, because they really liked Noel as a shot blocker and rim protector, and he's a better rebounder, whereas Okafor, is a much better offensive player, 15 feet and in, his ability to score, use the backboard, both hands, etc. So, he was picked to the USA Select Team, which is the younger guys who will practice with the Olympic team. That'll start out in Vegas later this month. From reports, it looks like he has dropped a little bit of weight. Apparently, getting over that knee surgery, apparently he's in pretty good shape. So, I think he knows to be more effective here or anywhere else, he's going to need to be, better defensively. The Sixers, it's a shame. It's a shame they don't play like the Iowa the old Iowa girls basketball when they used to have 3 offensive players and 3 defensive players, and you couldn't cross midcourt because Okafor could be your offensive player and Noel would be your defensive player, and that'd be perfect. But unfortunately, Noel shot 29% from 3 feet and out last year. So unless he's dunking or laying it up, he's not scoring. And, you really want Okafor to be close to the basket offensively to take advantage of his post-up skills and, able to score, inside, as I said. So, it doesn't seem like it's an ideal fit. But, as I said, all they need is one team, and I'm sure Brian Colangelo will keep trying, up and through the, if it doesn't happen, through the mid-February trade deadline to get something done to try to clear out this glut of big men.
All right, wrapping up with Tom Moore, who joins us right now. I got to get to Simmons because I've never watched so much Summer League in my life, and I've been very impressed with Ben Simmons. What's impressed you the most about Ben Simmons' game?
Yeah, I really love, Zach, the way he gets a defensive rebound and just goes. There aren't a lot of power forwards. You can go back to Barkley and the Lamar Odoms, and, there aren't a whole lot of guys that played that position that can do it the way he does. That first summer game against the Celtics when he threw that 40-foot bounce pass to Timothé Luwawu, for an easy basket, it just was perfect. And that's the kind of thing that you can't really teach, either have it or you don't. And he's got it. All of the, elite players or guys that have that capability have one skill that they're great at, and his is passing. Now he needs to cut down on the turnovers, trying to force some things. He gets stripped a little bit and so on, but the thing is, guys love playing with him because if they get open, he's going to find them. And that means players will be moving without the ball because they realize that there's a good chance he's going to hit them in the right spot for either an easy basket or an open shot at the very least. So, I think that is I think that's what's grabbed me, just the way he passes and how he can get a defensive rebound and, and push the ball before the defense gets set up and the Sixers get an easy basket in transition, which is ideal because they're still probably not going to be a very good half-court team. So, the up-tempo, fast break style is their best bet and what they want to do as much as possible.
And the one knock that I'll have on his game, and everyone brings up the shot, and this is the Summer League, and they play again tonight. So far, he hasn't attempted a single three-pointer in the Summer League, and the three ball is really now, that's what it's predicated off of in the NBA, is that three-point attempt. You saw what Golden State did. Heck, Kyrie Irving had a big three in the finals, and I know that he only took a handful of threes in college, but wouldn't you like to see him in a Summer League when the games really don't count in the win-loss record? See him jack up a few three-pointers?
Ideally, I would say yes, Zach, but he only took 3 all of last year, making 1. So he doesn't want to embarrass himself, and you want to do what you're comfortable doing. So I would say, in practice and videos of working out, you see him shooting the 3, and his shot to me doesn't look terrible. He probably needs some tweaks or whatever, but it isn't like a total teardown, shall we say. But I think he's more comfortable from 17 feet and in. So, maybe if he's wide open or at the end of a quarter or something, he would do that. But, I think he wants to fit in and he wants to get other guys involved, and he's very unselfish. And, He did in the fourth quarter the other night, score 8 points and look for a shot a little more, scored over some smaller defenders and, hit a couple jumpers. So, I think he needs to be willing to miss. And if he misses a few, it's not like they're going to take him out of the game or they're going to be upset with him. He needs to look for his own shot, and if he scores more, that's just going to make it easier for everybody else and also open up the passing lanes more for him to find teammates and for teammates to get easy baskets.
Now, before we let you run, Dion Waiters is still out there on the market. I think the Sixers only wanted to give him a 2-year deal from one story that I read, and they were reluctant to give him any more than that. He is a Philadelphia native. It appears he wants to play with the Sixers. Does a deal get done with Dion Waiters and the 76ers?
I'm going to say no, Zach. I mean, Brian Colangelo said he's willing to pay decent money, but more upfront and short term. He really wants to hold on to the cap flexibility. And I think unless he's willing to take a 1 or 2 year deal, I don't think it gets done. Because if you think about it, Noel will be a restricted free agent next summer in 2017. Embiid, if he's able to play, will be a restricted free agent in 2018. 2020 would be Simmons and then possibly Saric if he comes over. So, you don't want to – and there's the free agent class is much better in 2017 than this year's class. So if you let's say win 25 games, things go well, people like what Simmons is doing, people are more willing to play with him, you could maybe get a better player, a more of an impact player next summer or even the year after than you could have this year when the free agent class, other than Kevin Durant, and LeBron James, who wasn't, going anywhere. You could get more of an impact guy in 17 or 18. So I don't blame him for not wanting to tie up that money. So unless Waiters is willing to do that. And sometimes when guys come home, it's not ideal, people around, and it isn't as good as playing somewhere else, just too many distractions and so on. So I'm going to say no, it does not happen.
Hey, Tom, I appreciate the time today. I read the article this morning about what if Tim Duncan and Allen Iverson played together in Philadelphia. So I do appreciate the time and keep up the good work with the Bucks County Courier Time. We always appreciate your coverage and insight on the Sixers.
Thanks a lot, Zach. Have a good day.